Ah, what a wonderful day. Look at this weather, everyone. Isn't this great? I want to show you the background. Look at that. I found this really nice place. Clearly I'm actually there right now. You could totally tell. And we're going to be doing the live stream from here today. Welcome. Hey, Arlie and Chris, my two moderators. We're going to get started in just a moment. We'll get started right at 2 o'clock. So if all of you are here, it's your first time, I always start the stream about 15 minutes early, just in case there are technical issues, just to let everyone have a chance to come in while the stream's going. And we always start the lesson right at 2 o'clock. So you are early if you are here. So you are not late, and you have 15 minutes to look over the prerequisites for today's lesson to make sure that you're going to be okay understanding what we're going to be doing today. I guarantee you, if you're not familiar with these prerequisites, you will not be able to follow along with the lesson. That doesn't mean you're not going to get anything out of the lesson, but you won't be able to get the main point of our lesson for today if you don't know these forms already. If you are comfortable with these forms, you'll be able to completely follow along and use the advanced form we're going to be learning today. If you only know about these forms, like you're kind of familiar with them, well, then you'll be able to follow along, but you probably won't be able to use the form. So just kind of manage your expectations with that. If you are at least an intermediate level and you know all these forms really well, then you'll be fine with today's lesson. Otherwise, it might be a bit difficult because in order to use the form we're going to be learning today, 다면서, which actually has two different uses, you have to really be comfortable with these forms first. Because the form we're learning, 다면서, actually can change based on how it's being used, based on quoting. So if you don't know these forms, well, you're not going to be able to use 다면서 correctly, at least not in many of its ways it can be used. If you don't understand the plain form and the regular 면서 form, you're not going to understand what the form actually means. So these are the prerequisites for today. Now, you're always welcome to stick around no matter your level. Say you don't even know Hangul yet. You haven't even learned the alphabet. Well, you're more than welcome to stick around and just hang around in the chat. But you might be a bit confused with today's lesson. So yes, today is going to be an advanced level lesson. Now, it's not going to be the most advanced lesson we've ever had, but it's going to be at least like a low advanced, like at the beginning of the advanced level. It's really essential for speaking fluent Korean, but I would make sure to learn these ones before you try to study what we're going to be learning for today. So you have about 10 minutes, though, to go and learn. If you're kind of missing or you just want to brush up on these, you have about 10 minutes to go quickly, look up some lessons online, and learn these really quick, and then come back for today's lesson. All right. Let's see who else is here. Hey, Lauren, Cheryl, Sam, Small. Let's see who else is here. Just checking really quick. Ocean Discovery. Why is your name Ocean Discovery? Why? What is the purpose? What is the discovery going on? Like, what are you discovering? Did all of you have, did all of you have a nice Christmas? I know not everyone here probably celebrates Christmas. If you celebrated Christmas or Hanukkah, did you have a nice time? Also coming soon is going to be the new year. So that's going to be pretty cool. Let's get rid of 2020 and 2021 should be better in many ways. Will you be getting a new tablet? I said that before when this stopped working. I'm going to use it until it dies because, I mean, frankly, why replace it if it works? But yeah, it's on the end of its life. So I got donations from several of you to purchase a new tablet. So once this dies, as soon as it dies, I'm going to order a new one right away. Maybe I'll do like in-store pickup the same day. But this one still turns on. I just can't really use it without an external keyboard, which I do use. And it also doesn't react to any of the buttons. Touchscreen doesn't work. And sometimes it doesn't even charge. So we'll see. But until it dies, I'll keep using it because, I mean, it's just to view your comments. So it's okay if it works, at least if it just displays. All right, so Yes, I like spending money on equipment and upgrading equipment for you guys to make better videos. What I don't like spending money on is redundant stuff. Like if I have something that already does the job perfectly, then I don't like upgrading for the sake of upgrading unless it's a better upgrade. In this case, it works. Do I need a touchscreen on a tablet to check your comments? Not really. They all show up here nicely, so we'll see. But if it's something like, better quality microphone, oh yeah, $400, no problem. But a tablet, $50 tablet, I don't know. We'll wait until it dies. So yeah, we'll see about that. So we have some announcements for today also. We have still 10 minutes before we start the lesson. Announcements are, if you are a Patreon member, you can get a worksheet for today's lesson right now. For the entire lesson we're going to be learning, I'll warn you that it is actually even more advanced than the sentences we're going to be going over today. All the sentences that I pick for our live stream, I organize them and work them so that they are focused as much on the form as that we're learning as possible and as least on other stuff. So that way you really can learn the form through the sentence examples. But that's not the only way you'll see the grammar form used. And if you want some more advanced examples, check out the worksheet. You can get it on Patreon. It's open for all Patreon members. So if you want those, you can pledge $1, download all of the ones up to today, and then cancel your pledge for next month. I don't mind if you'd like to do that. But yeah, they're all available, as well as the outlines for all of our live streams. The outline for today's live stream will be available as soon as the live stream finishes, because sometimes I actually adjust them. Maybe I notice like a typo that I did while I'm doing it. So anyway, that'll be up as soon as this live stream's over, but the worksheet is available right now if you want that. Also, let's see if I got something else. Yes, here we go. There is also, I have Go Billy branded merchandise. let me pin this. Let's pin this one. Okay. I actually got this for free from signing up through the website for making the merchandise, but you can get your own branded Go Billy merchandise. All of it designed by yours truly. And so that's just one more way to support me. And what they say is, I heard a rumor on the streets that people who have Go Billy branded merchandise, they're typically much happier. They have more boyfriends and girlfriends, and they make more money on average. So I don't know. You didn't hear that from me. That's just the rumor going around the street. So other announcements we have. Make sure to check out our Discord channel. It is open 24/7. It's completely free. You can use that to practice with other Korean learners. You can also practice with a few natives who hang out there, ask Korean questions, share resources, or just, talk about K-pop or movies coming out. That is also open all the time, and there will be a link to that in the description of this video. So you can just scroll right down and join that anytime you'd like. Also, we have a few other announcements. Sorry, we always have a lot of announcements before we start. If you are a member of this channel, there are 60 or 70 of you right now. I think 70. You can get access to watch all of the abridged versions of these live streams the same day that they come out. So for this one, that'll be about 4 hours after we finish today. You can go on my YouTube channel and watch a condensed version of this lesson, and that'll usually be about 10 minutes. So you can rewatch the whole lesson, or if you missed it, you don't have time for an hour and a half live stream, you can come tonight after it's over and just watch the abridged 10 or 15 minute version. That is for members only. If you are not a member, you can still watch it, but it'll be uploaded later this week, typically around Wednesday. And our last announcement. So many announcements. There is no live stream next Sunday. So we had 3 in a row. So this is our last one. And then we're going to have a break. We have one Sunday off, which is what I use to film videos or plan new projects or whatever. So Sunday after today, this next Sunday, we'll have no live stream. But after that, it'll be 3 more in a row again. And we'll also get all new voting options. So this is important. If you are a member, you get priority for requesting new lesson topics. If there is a live stream topic you really want me to cover, you're saying, Billy, please, I really want you to cover this topic. You've never covered it before. Please cover this topic. I can't find it anywhere. I want people to do it. No one does it. Become a member. Make that request to me through Discord. Join Discord and just, tag me or send me a message on Discord and say, here's my suggestion for some live stream topics, or just post it in the live stream chat channel on Discord. And you have a high chance of getting it into the list of future options, which means it will get taught. So yeah, because I have so many requests coming in, I have to prioritize. Members get first pick. So if you have a topic you really want, make sure you are a member and send that to me over Discord. Okay, now we are done. Oh, thank you, Windows. You did not find any virus threats. Now I have to close this pop-up so that I can see the comments. Hold on. Okay. That is all of the announcements we have for today. We still have about 4 minutes until we start. So if there are any quick questions before we get started, now is the time. At 2 o'clock, we will start our lesson. I wonder where Grant Jims is today. Grant's always here on my more advanced lessons. Perhaps he'll come in a little bit later. Yes, today is the last live Korean class of the year. That is a good point, throwaway. Yes, today is the last time I'm going to see you guys in 2020. Not really, but the last live class we'll have. You guys will still see me in my other videos. Tomorrow I have a new video. That's the Mina and Jui video. So a lot of you guys were waiting for that. Last week was Sana and Momo. So this one will be the last two members of Twice, which will be tomorrow morning. So if you're looking forward to that, you don't have to wait very longer. Do we use this often? Presto potato, in what context? And where did you see that? This is amazing. Looking forward to see Billy dancing Gangnam Style. You're not going to see me dancing Gangnam Style. Never. That will never happen. Someone asked, Kim Beverly Villalobos, I don't know how to say your name, Villalobos, if I say it with my very California accent, Kim Beverly Villalobos, should beginners watch this? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you're not going to get anything out of it. I'll just say that. You will get nothing out of this lesson as a beginner, because when I explain how to use this form, I'm going to talk about the literal meaning of it as well, so that you can really understand when it can and can't be used. But in order to understand the literal meaning, you have to still know the prerequisites for today. And if you don't know, if you're a beginner, you don't know those prerequisites. If you know those prerequisites, you're not a beginner, likely. So yeah, I mean, you're free to stick around if you're like a low beginner, but I wouldn't stress about studying it. I'll say that. Yeah. What's the difference between 특별 and 특집? Or are you talking about 특징 or 특집? Well, if you're talking about special, what is it that you want to say, I guess is the question. I get a lot of questions when people will ask, what's the difference between this word and this word? Oh, I see you asked it twice. What's the difference between this word and this word? Well, the differences might be within Korean, like, whereas in English, two things can have the same translation. The difference could be one of them is used and the other one isn't used. But the 9 out of 10, the reason that people ask that sort of question is that they Googled a word in Korean, or Naver dictionary, a word that they're curious about in English, and found the Korean version, and it comes up with, 10 answers. And they'll be like, what's the difference between these words? And that's the wrong way to go about it in the first place. A better way to go about it is you know a word already that you've learned from another source. So you see it in a book, not Naver Dictionary, which gives you literally everything, even words that aren't used. You see it in a book, you hear someone say it, you see someone write it, and then you wonder, what does this word mean after I've already understood it? So I understand what it means in the sentence, but then you're thinking, what's the difference between this word and this other word, which I know? That's a better way to look at it. Because then when you learn the difference, you'll actually be able to understand it and use it, versus me just telling you, oh, this word is used in this situation, this word's used in that situation, which isn't helpful at all unless you've seen it used in those situations already. So I would say, and there's a lot of examples of that. Another really common one is people ask, just for example, 이용, 사용하다, 이용하다, which can both mean to use, although they do have different uses. Instead of asking, what's the difference between these two words? if you've never seen them both used already, it's not going to help to know when one or the other is used. I'll say that. Okay, it is 2 o'clock. So let's get started with our lesson. 빨리 and also. Yeah, those have very different uses. But again, unless you've seen them both used, like if you can't produce examples where you've seen it used, then even if I were to tell you the difference, you're not going to be able to use that yourself. You're just going to write notes. It's going to go out the window. You're never going to use it. So you could learn it, but it's useless knowledge to you because you're not going to be able to use it. It's much better to say, hey, Billy, I know that also is used in the phrase also 오세요 and also 오다. So then what about 빨리? Can you say 빨리 오세요? What's the difference? That's a more useful type of distinction where I can tell you, well, 빨리 is often used when you're telling someone, do something quickly, as in hurry up and do it, or like go ahead and do it, like right away. And also is just hurriedly, without wasting time, that sort of thing. So you'll use 빨리 when you're also when you're inviting someone to do something more often, like, quickly, without delay, without that sort of meaning, where 빨리 is just as far as speed, rapidly, without wasting time, often can be used in a negative way, that sort of thing. Then it's more useful because although there's not a clear, distinction between a lot of two words, they both can mean quickly. You get the feeling of, oh, this one tends to be used in these situations. This one tends to be used in these situations. And then you can actually use that sort of information yourself versus just writing it down in your notebook one time and forgetting it and still not knowing the difference and then still using them in the wrong place. Okay. So let's get started with our lesson. We're going to be learning an advanced grammar form today. Now, it's not the most advanced grammar form out there, but it's decently advanced. And that is 다면서. And the way to make it is actually very easy. Easy. You take the plain form. You all know the plain form, right? Right? Okay, I know some of you are watching, don't know the plain form. You just enjoy interacting with the chat. Okay. The plain form will always end with 다, but it's not the regular form that ends with 다 that you see in a dictionary. So today is not a lesson about the plain form. I have a whole live stream about that. There are lots of lessons on the internet you can find, not just my channel. Talk to Me in Korean has lessons. You can just Google plain form, you'll find it. It's very simple to make. So you take the plain form and you attach 면서. That's it. Oh, optionally, if it's at the end of a sentence and you want to be polite, you can attach a 요. But that's all you have to do. Now, let's talk about what this form is. But actually, let me clarify something small first, though. Plain form. Whenever you're using the plain form of the verb 이다, you don't get 다면서. I just saw a donation right when I turned my head. Hold on, who's that? Token GLX. Token GLX. I almost didn't make any space for donations today, but I do. I do have space for you. GLX, thank you for the $5 donation. Aloha from Maui. Cool. I went to Maui once. I did my mom had a very good year. 1 year, very successful year in her work. And she took us to Hawaii. 아직 배우고 있어요. I'm still learning. Nice. Thank you for your donations. 5 dabs for your $5 donation. Okay, back to the lesson. I should note though, whenever you're using 이다 with the plain form, what is the plain form of 이다? Well, it is 이다. 이다 after a consonant or just 다 after a vowel. But when you're using this form with 면서, 이다 plus 면서 is not 이다 면서. It is actually 이라 면서. So you get 이다 after a consonant or just 라 면서 after a vowel. So 이다 will become 이라 면서. Or the same thing happens when you're doing 아니다. And okay, so 아니다 will become 아니라 면서. This isn't just with this form. It actually happens with a lot of forms that use the plain form in their grammar. Just keep that in mind. The reason is 아니다 is actually on ida, if you guys were curious. On the negative ida to be. So literally anida is an ida. So that's why it has all the same rules as ida for the most part. Okay. So that's the only exception you have to learn. So then what does this form mean? Well, literally, this form is just the combination of the quoting form. Let me show you this. Okay. Oops. Let's write that a little bit clearer. Okay. This form, all it is literally, is a combination of a quoting form, he said, she said, they said, and Youngso. What is this Youngso form? Well, this means while. Specifically, it means while subject, while someone or something says something. So while someone says something, literally. Note though, since this is using the Youngso form, it actually has the same usage rules as Youngso. If you remember, Youngso has to be used when the same subject, the same noun, person or place, sorry, not place, person or thing, is saying something at the same time as doing something else. But the same person or same thing is doing both of those actions. For example, if I were to say, 먹으면서 얘기했어요. I talked while eating. Well, it's me talking while I am eating. It's not I am talking while Charsu or someone else does something. It has to be the same person or thing doing both actions when you're using Youngso. And the same thing will apply with 다면서, as you'll see. So, quoting form. So someone says, he, she, they says or said. So literally, while someone says something. Literally, while someone says something. Let me break this up a little bit more even. Let's take an example of 하다. So 하다 would become 한다면서. So how is this a quoting form? I actually talked about this in the quoting form live stream. I'm not sure if, like I said, I'm not sure exactly where everyone's level is, if you were attending that or if you already know about that. But I talked about this in the quoting live stream, that sometimes the quoting forms can be abbreviated. This is actually an abbreviated example as well. Okay, let me rewrite this because there's no room here. So this form is actually an abbreviated version of a longer form, which doesn't get used. This, if you use 하다 with this form, which would be 한다면서, well, it's actually an abbreviated version of this. 한다고 말하면서. So literally, while saying 한다고, so to do it. So while saying that he's going to do it, while saying that he 좋아한다고, while saying that he likes it, 간다고, while saying that he or she is going somewhere, like that. This is all that this form originally is. It's a contraction of a longer construction, but this form is not used. It's not used this way. This is just the literal form that it would have come from. And you'll see this sort of contraction used in a lot of different grammar forms, especially if you're at the advanced level for this lesson. This should be pretty familiar to you. Okay. So, literally, this means while someone says something. So then how can it be used? This is used to say something like, I heard or I read from someone else that Charsu likes dogs. I heard or I read from someone else that Korea is really hot in the summer and humid. I read that Charsu got married in the newspaper. I heard that Charsu got married. That is literally what it means, and this is how it translates naturally. It's not even the most natural way to translate it, but this is a more natural translation of this. And we'll actually look at an even better translation of this. Now, this form is one that will not naturally translate one-to-one in every situation. Every time you translate this form, it's going to sound a little bit different based on the sentence. But this is the most natural and literal translation that we can get from this form. Again, literally, while someone says something, a little more naturally, I heard or I read from someone else that something happened. So how does it mean this? So how do we get this then from this? Well, while the newspaper says Charsu got married, I heard that Charsu got married. While Younghee said that Charsu got married. So Younghee is saying that Charsu got married. That sort of meaning. So the newspaper says that Charsu got married. So I heard that Charsu got married because someone else says that. That's the way that this form literally means, and that's how it gets naturally translated. There are actually two uses for this form, and we're going to talk about both in today's lesson, but the original meaning of this form comes from this construction. Okay. So there we go. So let's talk about the two different uses that this form has. Are you guys still following along? I apologize because while I'm teaching, I understand if you don't know these individual grammar forms, you might not be able to follow along with this explanation I'm giving. Let's see. Okay, let's check here. Okay, so this form, although it literally always means that, it has two completely different uses. The first use is to say literally what we just did. So while doing an action, whatever action verb you want to pick, saying something. Literally, while doing an action, saying something. So Charsu, while riding his bike, says that it is cold outside. Literally. 춥다면서, so 춥다고 하면서, 춥다고 말하면서, if we stretch it out, while saying it is cold, 추워요. 춥다고 말하면서, 춥다면서 자전거를 타고 있어요. He's riding his bike. Okay, this will translate differently depending on the sentence. So literally it can say, literally this form can mean just what it literally means, as we learned. While doing an action, saying something. So this would be used in the middle of a sentence only. Well, unless you're ending a sentence, unless you're doing a fragmented sentence, which isn't complete, like saying, he was doing that, and it was while he was riding his bike, or something like that. While he was saying something, then you would use it at the end of a sentence. But anyway, this one is used at the middle of a sentence, and it's used without 요, because it's in the middle of a sentence. You would only attach 요 if it were at the end of a sentence. So this one is used at the middle of a sentence without attaching 요. So that'll just be 다면서. Or as we learned, if it's 이다, 이라면서. Okay. This one is used just to quote. So this really is just used to quote someone. What they said while doing something. While, I'll underline that. So, as I said, it's used to quote someone as in what they said while they were doing something. So you're just saying they said something while doing something. I'm stating this multiple times. I just want to make sure it's clear that that's what one of the uses of tamyeonso is. And it's actually quite common. You might think that, this would be like never used, but it's actually very common. Let me give you an example. Charsu stopped by the house while he was saying that he was looking for shoes. So we would say Charsu stopped by the house saying that he was looking for his shoes. Literally though, while saying. So what does that mean? Well, we have Charsu here. Charsu comes to my house, stops by. Hey, I'm looking for my shoes. I'm looking for my shoes. Okay, I left my shoes here. I'm looking for my shoes. So we have we can explain that situation by saying Charsu stopped by the house saying he was looking for his shoes. You can see that this can be a bit difficult to translate because although in the most natural sentence, we wouldn't say while. The most natural sentence, we would probably just say whatever verb ing, saying, probably saying. So something, something, something that someone did, saying whatever they said while they were doing that. So literally, while doing action, while stopping by our house, saying that he's looking for his shoes. So Charsu stopped by our house saying he was looking for his shoes. Okay. However, again, remember that since this uses the Youngso form, it must be the same subject doing both the action and saying something. So we cannot use this form to say, Charsu stopped by the house while Younghee was saying that Charsu was looking for his shoes. You can't do that. I know you probably wouldn't try to do that, but I've been impressed with the sentences that sometimes I myself have made as a beginner, as well as other beginning learners. You have to make sure that the person doing the action is the same one who is saying something. So you can't say like Younghee stopped by the house while Charsu said he was hungry. Like Younghee stopped by the house and Charsu saying he's hungry. That you wouldn't use this form. You would use a completely different form. You have a few other options, but you'd probably want to use the maybe 동안 or toni or a different form like that, or 지만, whatever you want to say. So like someone did something, but this person and this person did this. Not this form though. This is for both subjects, so both people or things saying the same. Whoever's doing it is also the one who's saying that thing. And one more thing about this form that's important. Oh, I got another donation. Hold on. Hey, Evolving Brain. I don't think you should do that. You're going to die. Thank you. And yes, I do say literally, like literally 100 times every lesson. Because whenever I'm emphasizing that something has a literal meaning, I will say literally. Yeah, you will die if you do that. I don't recommend that. And now, what did I say, actually? It's funny you should say that, Evolving Brain. What did I say about this form's literal meaning? I said that this form literally means the quoting form with Youngso, right? Wait a minute. Does that ring any bells with anyone's mind? Does that make you think of anything else? When I say that this form literally means quoting plus Youngso, well, we did tamyeonso. Are there any other quoting forms? Can you guys think of any other quoting forms? Give you a minute. Anyone think of any other quoting forms? I would play the Jeopardy music right now, but it would get copyright striked. 라고. Okay. Any others? Any others? 안녕합니다. Yes. 냐. 자고. Yes. 자. That's right. Because this form is literally a quoting form with Youngso, not only can you have tamyeonso, or if it's ida, 이라면서. You can also have the command form. 라고 하다. To say, do it. As 라면서. Now this is different than the 이라면서, which comes from 이다. This would just be after the verb stem with either 으라, either 으라 or 라, as well as you can have 자면서 and 야면서. Now each of these has slightly different exceptions in how to use it, so I recommend learning grammar, learning the quoting form grammar in order to know how to use this. It works the same way. So you can use this form with other ones. So when you use it with this form, 하면서 or 일하면서, this would translate as like, while doing something, someone says that. Charsu says that he's looking for his shoes. Charsu stopped by saying he was looking for his shoes. 라면서. This is a command. Charsu stopped by saying, look for my shoes. So he came over to my house just to tell me to find his shoes. That sort of thing. Yeah, Charsu stopped by saying, hey, find my shoes for me. I lost them here. 자면서. Let's. Making a suggestion. Charsu stopped by saying, let's look for my shoes. Right? 신발 찾자면서. Now, these aren't super common used these other ways, but it literally does mean that. You can see these as well. 찾자면서. While saying, let's look for my shoes, he stopped by my house. 냐면서. This would be a question. Where are my shoes? I shouldn't keep using the word for shoes because it's easily mispronounced as a swear word. Let's say Charsu's looking for his hat. 모자가 어디냐면서. So Charsu was like, he was asking. So while doing something, asking something. So Charsu stopped by my house asking, where are his shoes? So it can be used in any of these forms. Keep in mind though, this is only with this one usage of 다면서. There is a second usage of 다면서, which is different than this, which doesn't take these, which cannot use these. So this form is the more literal version of 다면서. So it literally means, evolving brain, while doing an action, saying, or telling someone to do something, or suggesting something, or asking something. That's what it means. Okay, we're going to do some example sentences, but before we do that, I want to first cover the second form of this 다면서. So let's do the next version of 다면서. And then we'll do some example sentences. The next way that 다면서 can be used is at the end of a sentence. So this will be 다면서 or 다면서요 if you're being polite. Now, most of the time you're going to add a question mark to the end. We'll talk about why in a second. This one is also the same literal meaning. However, it's not used that way. This one is used as well to say that you're quoting someone, but it's used in a different way. This one is used to say something like, is it true that? In the sense that you're asking someone, hey, I heard or read that. Is it true? Is it right? So it literally has the same meaning, but a very different usage. This time, you're not saying, while someone did something, they were asking. Instead, now you're saying, I heard or I read that. So in some way, this is also a literal version of the form, but a slightly different side of it. So it's also like, while someone said that, something happens. Somebody said that they're looking for their shoes. Is that true? Literally though, I heard while Charsu's saying something, is it correct? While I heard something, is that right? In that sort of sense. You're kind of making an open-ended question. Like, hey, I heard this. Is it right? Without saying, is it right? It implies, hey, I heard this, or I read this. Someone is saying this. Literally, people are saying that, or I read that. Is it right? So it will often end with a question mark. It doesn't have to, but it'll often end with a question mark to kind of imply like, hey, I heard that this happened. I read that this happened. Does that make sense? So yeah, you have an open-ended sentence that implies that you think it's correct and you're asking for their opinion on it. You're asking them to confirm it, to tell you whether that's right or not. By implying, hey, well, people are saying that. I heard while people are saying that, is it true? That sort of thing. I don't know why I'm pulling on my ear. The things I do for you guys to help you understand. And the thing is, right now, I know a lot of you watching are not ready for this lesson, so I'm trying extra hard to make it easy to understand. If I had a lesson where it's like, I know everyone watching is advanced, I would be like so much faster. I'd be like, okay, well, you guys get that, from that form. But no, okay, hopefully, well, I did lose 15 of you guys in the past 10 minutes. Hopefully you guys are doing okay. Someone said, I am so confused. Yes, you might not be ready for today's lesson. Again, it is an advanced lesson. So, what is this form used for? This form is used for fact checking something that you've read or something that you've heard. In fact, it's often used in this way to confirm something that you think isn't true. You just want to fact check it like, hey, I really heard that Charsu got married. I didn't think he could ever get married. Is it true? Is it true? I heard that. Is it right? So you're fact checking something. In fact, you're fact checking something that you maybe don't believe it. Maybe you do. It doesn't have to be, but it's often used for things that you're fact checking that maybe you don't believe. So you could ask your friend, hey, is it true that you won the lottery? Literally, hey, I heard or read that. People are saying that. While I heard that you won the lottery, is it true? That sort of literal meaning. So for fact checking something, for verifying something. And also, there's another thing you'll hear it used for, which is definitely an advanced topic. This is definitely an advanced topic in Korean. That is sarcasm. This is a culture note, but you can be sarcastic in Korean if it is obvious that you're being sarcastic. Koreans hate dry sarcasm if it's not clear that you're being sarcastic. Sarcasm to strangers. Sarcasm to people who you're not close with. Sarcasm in front of other people when they're not sure about whether you're joking or not. Like the Canadian style sarcasm, if you're familiar with that. Where you're not sure if they're joking. You think they're joking, but maybe they're being serious. Maybe they're being a jerk. That sort of sarcasm, avoid it. It is not funny to most Koreans because they don't get that you're telling a joke. So if you want to be sarcastic in Korea, it should be obvious that you're being sarcastic. Maybe do it with like an extra loud voice or like with a surprised, overreacting expression. That way it's clear, very clear that you're being sarcastic. In which case, they love it. They totally get that. It's funny. But yeah, just know that it can be rude if it's not clear. But it's often used for sarcasm too. For example, you can say like, hey, but I thought you said you're rich. How come you're asking me to pay for your donut right now? Didn't you say you were rich? Like that sort of meaning, sarcasm. Like, hey, I thought you passed your test. Like teasing someone, or even like maybe your friend goes in to take a test, and before your friend goes in to take the test, they're like, ah, man, I studied so hard. This is gonna be a cinch. I got this, a piece of cake. They go in and they're like really sad. They're like, oh, I was one question away from getting an A. And you're like, oh, 쉽다면서요? I thought you said, literally, while you were saying it's easy, is it true that it's easy? Hey, didn't you say that was easy? Didn't you say the test would be easy? Like that sort of thing. So, but I thought you said, or, didn't you just say that? Something like that. So often used for sarcasm. It doesn't have to be, but it tends to get used a lot for sarcastic remarks. This is also something you won't be able to do unless you are more at the advanced level, but you'll hear it used often. If someone uses it to you, you can guess they might be doing it in a sarcastic way. Okay. We're not done with this form though. This is not used for things that you personally saw or experienced. So you wouldn't use this for saying something like, I heard this restaurant tasted so good. Is that right? Like, why are you asking yourself? You had it before. Just a small note. Now, I think if you've gotten this far in the lesson and you follow along, you're not going to make this mistake anyway. I just want to point out, if you want to say anything about your own experiences, you wouldn't use this form, because why would you fact check yourself? It's very philosophical, isn't it? Okay, so don't use it for that. There are many other forms you can use for that sort of thing, actually. All right, I think we are done explaining the form, so let's give our first example sentence. Let's go over our first example sentence now. I'm going to write it up on the board, and then I'll let you guys have a second to review it. Oh, I want you guys to tell me whether this is the first form or the second, if this is the first version of this form or the second version of the form also. Keep that in mind. But remember, it is the exact same literal meaning, just different uses. Okay, let me write it a little clearer than that. Okay. Rachel Temkin, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. I totally forgot. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. That's right. Pretty soon you guys are going to want to start saying 새해 복 많이 받으세요 to all your friends. Well, actually, you wouldn't do 받으세요. You can just do, whatever. Any more casual version of that for your friends. But yeah, you guys should start saying that to all of your acquaintances in Korean. 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Rachel. 새해 복 많이 받으세요. You too. Okay. First form. Yes, I see you guys already noticed. This is the first form. Kat asks, Billy, are these examples accurate to how it is used in Korean? Yes. Since this is an advanced lesson, all of these example sentences are going to be more natural. When we do really basic forms on my live streams, I simplify them a lot. I'll remove difficult words. I'll replace words with, they're always going to be common. I'm not going to give you guys weird vocabulary, but I'll replace it with like more common or simpler version of grammar and everything. No, this is advanced. You guys get the original sentences for this. 동생은 새로 산 화장품이 망가졌다면서 눈물을 흘렸어요. 동생, younger sibling. In this case, since it is 새로 산 화장품, cosmetics that they just bought, brand new. Literally 새로 산, 새로 사다 To buy something anew, to buy something newly for the first time, or that you just bought it. So the cosmetics my younger sibling had just bought, 망가지다, to break. So they're ruined, basically. 망가졌다고 하면서, 망가졌다고 말하면서. If you want to stretch it out, if you want to stretch it out, what is that? While saying that their new cosmetics, their new makeup was ruined. 눈물을 흘렸어요. Cried. 눈물을 흘리다, literally to shed tears, to make flow tears. So to cry. It's just one way of saying to cry. 눈물을 흘렸어요. While saying that their new cosmetics are ruined. My younger sister was crying, saying that her new cosmetics were ruined. 동생은 새로 산 화장품이 망가졌다면서 눈물을 흘렸어요. So sad. If you guys just bought makeup, although it could be a younger sibling, it could be a younger brother. My kid, he's 5. He really wanted makeup for one of his Christmas presents. So his cousin got him a little, not a kid's, like a real little makeup set. I think it was like, $15 makeup set or something. He doesn't, he wants to practice putting it on his mom. Anyway, so it could be a younger sibling, a boy, but we'll just say it's a girl. 동생은, that's true. If it's Korea, though, it could be both. Really commonly. I've seen just as many guys that do makeup in the morning as I have girls. Now, it's different kind of makeup. But yes, it's guys care a lot. Korean guys do care a lot about their physical appearance, including their face. So a guy wearing some sort of makeup, it's not that unusual. In fact, whenever I film videos, I also put on a light layer of like foundation and powder and stuff for filming. Although that's not so much to look good as it is to avoid reflections for the camera. Anyway, 동생은 새로 산 화장품이 망가졌다면서 눈물을 흘렸어요. If this sentence does not make sense to you, that means you're not ready for this lesson. I was going to say something like more philosophical, but anyway, yeah, that means you're not ready for this lesson. But hopefully this sentence makes sense to you so far with what we've explained. So this is the first usage we have. Literally, again, while saying that. So we have this form used in the middle of a sentence here. So it's going to be the first usage where literally it just means while saying something, doing something. The same person does both saying and the doing. So the 동생 here is both saying it, and the 동생 is also the one who is crying. So it's not the 동생, it's not the 동생 is, I'm just going to speak in English, okay? It's not that the younger sibling is saying that they're ruined while I am crying, or I could not add here. 제가 눈물을 흘렸어요. That makes no sense. So while my younger sibling was saying that their newly bought cosmetics were ruined, I was crying while they said that. That doesn't make sense in Korean because 면서 has to be used with the same subject. So keep that in mind, that it literally does mean that same combination of the same form. Okay, not that you would do that. You guys are better than that. But just in case if you wondered, can I say that? Because 면서 has to be used with the same subject. 동생은 새로 산 화장품이 망가졌다면서 눈물을 흘렸어요. So my younger sibling was crying, saying that their new makeup was ruined. Okay. How does this feel? How do you guys feel about this? How do you guys feel about this sentence? I want your opinion. Tell me, how do you feel about it? Really, be honest. We're going to get a little harder. Not right away, but we do have a couple more difficult examples than this. But if you guys feel good about this sentence, then maybe you're ready for this form. Feeling good, Charlene? Cygnus Gain. Good. Stephanie, I almost misread it as Stephanie Seinfeld. I was like, oh my God, your name is Seinfeld. That's awesome. Okay, good. Dude, okay. I just got to share this with you. It's totally not related to the lesson. But does anyone here do 3D printing? Okay, since I was like 14, not joking, since I was 14 years old, on my Christmas list for my mom when I was a kid, I wanted a few things. One thing I wanted a live monkey. I wanted my own pet monkey. Now, I've gotten older and realized that's a very stupid wish. It's not safe, illegal, and probably a terrible idea. So I removed that from the list. Another thing I've always wanted since I was like 14 was a 3D printer. But at that time, when I was 14, I believe the cheapest 3D printer was somewhere in the range of like $3,000-$4,000. And so anyway, apparently my mom remembered that from when I was 14. And this year, she got me, obviously not $3,000. I think it was like $200 or something. She got me a 3D printer. I'm like, my goodness, Mom, I love you. You remembered. So yeah, so I've been playing around with that for the past couple days. If any of you guys are, any of you guys own one, send me a message with some tips. I'm still learning stuff. Totally not related to the lesson. I just wanted to share with you. I just wanted to brag to all you guys. No, I'm trying to think of some cool stuff to print. My kid likes it so far. It feels weird to get something like you want, like when you're a kid, getting it like when you're older. I think what am I, 34 now, right? Yeah, I'm 34. It just feels weird. 20 years later, getting a present that you wanted when you were a kid. Anyway, makes me feel like a kid again. I'm like, oh, yeah. So, okay, let's do our next sentence then. 어제, I'll just write it down here. I don't have space for over there. 어제 영희한테 들었는데. Okay, let's use our friend Charsu. Since you guys are hopefully more advanced, I'm not going to write it as neatly and slowly as I write for my beginner level, but hopefully it should be okay. Let me know if you can't read something though. Okay, which form is this? Is this the first or the second form that we used? 어제 영희한테 들었는데 철수가 결혼했다면서요. 어제 영희한테 들었는데 철수가 결혼했다면서요. 어제, yesterday, 영희한테, from 영희, 들다, sorry, well, this would be 듣다, to listen, 들었는데, so I heard from 영희 yesterday, but 철수가 결혼했다, 철수 got married, 철수가 결혼했다면서요, 철수가 결혼했다면서요. Literally, while 영희 is saying that 철수 got married. So we can stretch this out. 결혼했다고 말하면서요. So 영희 is saying that 철수 got married. And while 영희's saying that, is it true? Hey, I heard yesterday from 영희, but I heard that 철수 got married. Is that true? Is that really true? Is it true that 철수 got married? I heard this from 영희, but is it true that 철수 got married? Yes, the second. Good job, guys. My boy 철수. Yeah, 철수 got married. Oh, Grant, Gems. Don't worry, Gems, we got some information for you. The advanced notes at the end of the lesson. I'm going to talk about how to use tame, although I'm sure you already know that. But we're going to talk about the actual rules for when you can use tame or tamyo, which ones get used with what I'm talking about that is like which politeness levels use which ones. Because there are some specifics for that. Maybe you already know them though. Maybe intuitively you already know them. But we will talk about that at the end. There is another way that this form gets used, which we will talk about at the end of the lesson. Okay. 어제 영희한테 들었는데 철수가 결혼했다면서요. 철수가 결혼했다면서요. I heard 철수 got married. 영희 told me. Is it true? Is it true that 철수 got married? I heard from 영희, but is it true 철수 got married? 어제 영희한테 들었는데 철수가 결혼했다면서요. 결혼했다면서요. 어제 oh my goodness. It is so, you guys try it sometime. It is so hard to read things 또박또박, one syllable at a time, and still get it going fast. It's so much easier just to read it as a sentence, but like, You guys try it someday. Try it. See what I have to go through. Try it. 어제 영희한테 들었는데 철수가 결혼했다면서요. Okay. Okay, tell me which one is this. Is this our first or our second? Oops, what am I doing? 가면. 영희는 늦게 가면 아무것도 oops, space there. 남아있지 않을 거라면서 서둘렀어요. 둘렀어요. 영희는 늦게 가면 아무것도 남아있지 않을 거라면서 서둘렀어요. Okay, is this the first one or the second version of this form? Okay. First or second? Come on. First. Mel thinks first. Is it the first? Yes, it is the first. For sake of time. You were right. But if you didn't hear that, you could still guess. Is it first or second? Okay. 영희는, so 영희, 늦게 가면, literally, if she goes late. So if she's late, if she leaves late. 아무것도 남아있지 않다. There will not be anything left. 아무것도 남아있지 않다. To not have anything left. To not have anything remaining. So there's going to be nothing left. 아무것도 남아있지 않을 거라면서 while saying that there will not be 않을 거. Future tense. 있지 않을 것이다. Normally 것이다 becomes 것이다 or just 거라. This ra here is from ida. Since it follows a vowel, it becomes ra. If it had followed a consonant, it would have become ida. So this is future tense. Will not be anything left. So if she goes late, there's not going to be anything left. So while she's saying that, 서둘렀어요. She was hurrying. She was hurrying, saying that if she left late, there wouldn't be anything left. So she's like hurrying and saying, if I leave late, there's not going to be anything left. I better hurry. That sort of meaning. So she's going to be going to I don't know, maybe she's going to go trick-or-treating. They don't really do trick-or-treating in Korea, but she's in the U.S. Younghee lives in the U.S. 영희는 늦게 가면 아무것도 남아있지 않을 거라면서 서둘렀어요. So she was saying, if I don't leave right away, there's going to be nothing left. So she said that while hurrying, or literally while saying that there's not going to be anything left if she goes late, she hurried. Younghee was hurrying, saying that if she left late, that there'd be nothing left. Or literally, while saying that if she left late, that there'd be nothing left. 영희는 늦게 가면 아무것도 남아있지 않을 거라면서 서둘렀어요. Okay. Second? Well, I mean, it's not so important if you know one or two, the numbers. Just be able to understand what the form means when it's being used. Just learned 11 Billy Goes lesson. I learned it in an hour. I'm not sure which one. I don't think it's possible to watch all the first 11 episodes in an hour, though. Because one of them alone is like 30 minutes. I think episode 9 is like 30 minutes or something like that. Anyway. 영희는 늦게 가면 아무것도 남아있지 않을 거라면서 서둘렀어요. Let's erase this. We got some more sentences. Okay. 어제가 졸업식 Actually, I need more space because this one doesn't have any space. I'll just write bigger. Oops. 졸업식 is when you graduate. 졸업식이었다면. Okay. Great. This one is, the problem is there are no spaces when you write this because it's attached directly onto. So I'll have to write it small again. We got it. Third time's a charm. Yes. Okay. It's the problem with writing really big. Okay. 어제가 졸업식이었다면서요. What does this mean? Can you guys translate this one for me? Give it a go. Try to translate it. 어제가 졸업식이었다면서요. 어제가 졸업식이었다면서요. Only a lesson 11 in an hour? That makes more sense. That sounds great. I think it's like a 10-minute lesson or something. Or maybe under than that. But if you learned it in an hour, that is wonderful. Wonderful, really. I wouldn't do more than maybe 1 or 2 lessons per day, though. Because if not, you're not going to get it. It's not really possible to learn it that stuff for the first time. Good job, Presto Potato. And yes, this is the second version. I thought you said the graduation ceremony was yesterday. Something like that. Yeah. Or just, I heard yesterday was the graduation. Is that right? That sort of thing. 어제가 졸업식이었다면서요. So I heard yesterday was the graduation. Or if you want to be sarcastic, I thought yesterday was your graduation day. Or if you just want to fact check, hey, wasn't yesterday the graduation day? I thought it was. That sort of meaning. 어제가 졸업식이었다면서요. Oh, let's see if anyone else tried to do it. Graduation was yesterday. Cheats off of Nika's paper. Chris, I saw you. Don't look at Nika's paper, okay? Trying to catch up. What was the question? Nika didn't know either. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't cheat off of Nika's paper. Nika's like, I don't know. I don't know, guys. What's going on? 할머니는. Okay, let's do a little bit of a longer sentence. 이렇게 편한 여행. 편한. Not harder, but just longer sentence. 처음이었다면서? I'm going to split it up here. I know it's not supposed to be. No, I'm not going to do it. It looks ugly. I can't let myself do that. I was like, yeah, let me just split it up. Nope. Oh, much nicer. 환하게. just 웃으셨어요. I know I'm blocking the screen. One sec. Okay. 할머니는 이렇게 편한 여행은 처음이었다면서 환하게 웃으셨어요. 할머니는, my grandmother, 이렇게 편한 여행, such a relaxing vacation. Literally, 이렇게, this much. 편하다, comfortable, relaxing. 여행, vacation, trip. 할머니는 이렇게 편한 여행은 처음, the first time, 처음이었다면서. So she was saying that it was the first time she's had such a relaxing vacation before. And while she was saying that, 하면서 환하게 웃으셨어요. She smiled widely, like that. 환하게 웃다. This is just like kind of an idiom. Basically, smiled brightly, smiled widely, as we would say in English. So Grandma smiled whitely. How do you smile widely? Grandma smiled widely while saying that this was her first time having such a relaxing vacation. 할머니는 이렇게 편한 여행은 처음이었다면서 환하게 웃으셨어요. Okay. 처음이셨다? No, because Ray Key, you cannot use the honorific with 처음 because 처음 is not the grandma. 처음 is the 여행. So 처음 이셨다 would be honorifying the 여행 because the 여행은 처음이다 is what you're saying. 이런 여행은 처음이다. This is the first time I've had this kind of vacation. So you have to use the regular 이다, not 이시다. That would be wrong. 이 정도 문장 만들면 한국어 If you're going to make this type of sentence in a casual conversation, then yeah, this would be pretty good. You'd be pretty good at Korean if you could do this. 할머니는 이렇게 편한 여행은 You almost got me saying it 처음이셨다. Because I was thinking of it. I'm like, no, that's totally wrong. 할머니는 이렇게 편한 여행은 처음이었다면서 환하게 웃으셨어요. So my grandma was smiling widely, saying that this was the first time she'd had such a relaxing vacation. And this again was the first grammar form of the two. Okay, we're not done. I still have 3 more sentences I'm going to cover. First, we're going to do 올겨울. 올겨울. Literally 올, this coming season or year. So this, in this case, 겨울, winter. So this winter, 이 올겨울은 더 추울 거라면서요. Okay, this could be used for fact checking, or you could say this sarcastically. Maybe your friend's like, oh, this winter's going to be so cold, it's going to be freezing. And you walk outside and it's like hot in December, like a random hot day. You'd be like, 올겨울은 더 추울 거라면서요? Didn't you say it's going to be a little bit colder this year than normal? Like that. But probably not. This would probably just be for fact checking, like 올겨울은. So this year's winter, 더 추울 거라면서요. There should be a space here actually. So let me write it. Did I write that wrong? Let me do that again. I can't remember how I just wrote that. I might have written 추울. If I wrote it 추울, I feel really dumb. Must not have been looking. Okay. Sorry. Ignore that. I think I was really dumb and I just combined these together. Because I was like, as soon as I read it, I'm like, wait, I wrote that wrong. 올겨울은 더 추울 거라면서요. So, while I heard that this winter will be colder, 더 추울, future tense, will be more cold. Is it true? Is it true that this winter is going to be even colder? 올겨울은 더 추울 거라면서요. So I heard it's going to be colder this winter, or I read it's going to be colder this winter. Is that true? What do you think? If you're using this sarcastically, if it were, it could also be translated something like, didn't you say this year's winter is going to be colder? Huh? Is it? Like that sort of thing. 올겨울은 더 추울 거라면서요. So I heard it's going to be even colder this year. I heard that this year's winter will even be colder. Is it true? Okay. Couple more sentences left. All right. If you guys are, hopefully you guys like long advanced sentences. So buckle down. I have our most advanced sentence of the day. Right after this next sentence here. Let's do one more. 기차가 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. Of all the letters to mess up, I wrote the question mark wrong. Okay. See, you guys, it's not just my Korean. It extends. I make stupid mistakes in English too, okay? All right. 그 기차가 세상에서 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. 그 기차, that train. Specifically, 기차 is for electric train, but these days they're all electric anyway. You're not going to find too many. That's not true. Most of them are electric. You're not going to find too many like steam or, gas-powered trains if you're going to be hanging out in Seoul. 그 기차가 세상에서 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. So I heard or I read that that train is 세상에서 in the world 제일 빠른. The number one fast. The fastest train. I heard that's the fastest train. I heard that train is the fastest train in the world. Is it right? Is that correct? Didn't you say that's the fastest train in the world? Didn't you say that train is the fastest train in the world? Like that. You could also use it sarcastically, but it doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to be sarcasm. It's just fact checking. Like, wow, I heard that train is the fastest train in the world. Is that true? Maybe you see a train go by like that. You're like, whoa, 그 기차가 세상에서 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. I heard that's the fastest train in the world. I mean, it probably is if it went like really, really fast by you while you're like walking. You're like a mile away and you get blown back. It probably is. 그 기차가 세상에서 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. So I heard that train... Why is my Shaggy voice, my Scooby-Doo Shaggy voice keeps coming out when I'm trying to say stuff in English. 그 기차가 세상에서 제일 빠른 기차라면서요. So I heard that train is the fastest train in the world. Is that true? Okay. This sentence is our last sentence for today. Not the last grammar we're going to be doing, though. We have a little bit more to talk about. But this is for you advanced learners. You loving advanced learners. You've been waiting forever for a really advanced sentence. So here's one. It's fun. It's not really that hard, but it is an advanced level. Oops. Let's make that a longer. Yeah. 실수를 인정 한다고 했어요. Does this even go? No, it doesn't even go down here. Okay. Sorry, I have to rewrite this because there's no space. So I got to rewrite a couple things up here, and I think I could do it just in this line. Oops, that's too messy. I have to make sure you guys can actually read it. 대처를 make sure I have everything. 변화는 빠른 대처를 하지 못해. Okay, I think I can put this on the same line as this one. 실수를 인정한다고. Okay. Writing 수실. What's wrong with my writing? There we go. Now I got it. 말했어요, I believe. Yes. No, it's just 했어요. Okay, even easier. Cool. There we go. This is our long sentence for today. Okay. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. Okay. If you know the vocabulary words, this isn't really that hard of a sentence, but it is very long, which is why I'm like struggling to make it even fit on my board. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. Go ahead and read it. In my dreams, I'm a native Korean who doesn't have to study. I think this sentence literally means Billy needs a bigger board. Yeah, that would be great. If it were possible for me to get a bigger board, I would. There are some issues with that. One, there's no space in my room to put a bigger board. I can't fold it. I did get a background. If you guys saw my latest video where I grade Sana and Momo's Korean, the background I filmed that in is new, but that background actually folds really small. I can put it in a corner. It doesn't affect anything. This board, anything bigger than this wouldn't fit in my room without having to move it around everywhere. So, and then if I got a bigger board, we wouldn't be able to go out to these great, totally realistic looking backgrounds. So yeah, this is really as big as we can get it. I would like a higher quality board because these legs are really flimsy. You see it like moves. Why is that light on the board? Guys, sorry about that. I just now realized that this light was reflecting on the board. Probably bumped it. Okay. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. 정부, government, 갑작스럽다, sudden, to be sudden. 갑작스러운 변화, the sudden transition, the sudden change. 변화 means a change, something's changing. 변화로, by the sudden change. So you can think of it as kind of like due to the sudden change. 빠른 대처, 대처 means handling something, dealing with something. 빠르다, to be quick. So they were not able to, 하지 못했었다면서. So they said they weren't able to deal quickly with the problem due to the sudden transformation, the sudden change. 실수를 인정하다, to acknowledge, to recognize, to kind of like admit, but to acknowledge their mistake. 실수 했어요. So they said that they acknowledged their mistake while saying that they were unable to quickly deal with something due to the sudden change. 정부는, the government said that. So if we translate this more naturally, the government said that it acknowledges the mistake or its mistakes, stating that it was unable to react quickly due to the sudden transition or due to the sudden changes, that sort of thing. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. So it's just a longer sentence. It's not really that difficult, I think. Just it has a few words I think beginners wouldn't know. Beginner might not know 정부. They might not know 갑작스럽다. They might not know 변화. They might not know 대처. And they might not know 인정하다. Although this one's pretty common. You see 인정 all over the place. Koreans will say this in chat. These two letters, it means 인정, like I agree. Literally like I admit, I acknowledge, that sort of thing. So someone can say like, Disneyland is more fun than Universal Studios. And then someone would reply with just 인정. Basically, it's slang, like I agree, or, word, that sort of meaning. Anyway, so yeah. 정부는 갑작스러운 변화로 빠른 대처를 하지 못했었다면서 실수를 인정한다고 했어요. So the government said that they acknowledged their mistake while stating that they were unable to quickly deal with it due to the sudden change. So there was a problem that had a sudden change, and the government admits its mistake, saying they were unable to deal with it quickly enough. Okay. That is our last sentence. But there's a little bit more I wanted to talk about. And this is also for advanced learners. So this is on top of this form. So if you already feel comfortable with this form, here are a few extra notes that you might get something out of. Okay, when this form is used at the end of a sentence, I talked about how it means that you're confirming information, right? You're verifying something, you're fact-checking something. In which case, you notice how I said it could have a yo optionally to be more polite. Most of the time, this form is written with the yo whenever it's being used in a polite or just a not casual situation. It will be used as 타면서요. It will. You might think, therefore, if I'm speaking with a friend, then I would just use 다면서, right? Actually, no. 다면서 is not really used. It's okay. It technically is casual if you end a sentence with 다면서. But more often, when Koreans are using casual speech, they will use a different form of this. There are two other options. I'll write polite. Now, it's not always going to be polite. It's technically informal. But know that it's still polite. Unless you're saying something sarcastic, in which case it is not polite. So I have to make that distinction between polite. Polite usually means it's acceptable. But just because a form is using the yo form, that doesn't mean it's going to be polite to use. It depends what you're saying. You could swear at someone and stick a yo at the end. Is that polite? No, yo doesn't make your sentence polite. What you're saying itself can make the sentence polite or rude. Yo is often used in polite sentences, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can even use other forms that are not considered polite and have it be polite in the right situation. 다면서요. So therefore, it's actually known as informal, this yo form. If, however, you're speaking casually, it's more often to see 다, 며. Now, what is 며? 며 is the same thing as 면서. 며 is a shortened version of 면서, meaning while. So because this form literally means while saying something, you can also use the shortened version of 면서. More often, when you're speaking with your friends, I'll just write casually, you'll use 다며 and not 다면서. Or, there are also some more dialects. There are also some more choices that you can use, which are actually dialect, but they're so common that they're not really considered dialect. There are also some more options you can use when speaking casually. There are several. The two most common ones, there are 다매. You might see this spelled a little bit differently, but this is the official spelling. Although it's technically a dialect and doesn't really have an official spelling, this is the official, unofficial spelling. 다매 is also a casual form, as well as 대매. Either of these, 다매. This one is probably the most common variant that you'll see. Even more than 다며, 다매, or 대매, 이 때문에, 이 때문에, 결혼했다며, 결혼했다며. This one is even more slang. I don't really recommend using this one. This one's just really slang sounding, but this one is totally fine. This one's very common, 다매. But if you don't want to sound more casual, 다며 sounds perfectly fine. So, in summary, I recommend that if you're using the 다면서 at the end of a sentence, use 다면서 if you want to speak with the normal yo form, or use 다며 or 다매. Either of these are fine if you're speaking casually. Okay. Also, I want to note that one more thing I want to talk about. Okay, making sure the light is not reflecting on the board still. That's the sun, by the way. That's totally the sun. That's not my room studio light. That is the sun reflecting on the board. I can't do anything about the shadows, okay? Now, you might be thinking that maybe if you're like a low intermediate or you're just learning this form, you might be confused. Well, how is this form different than the regular 다고요 form? Some people might say, well, how about 결혼했다고요? Like, did you say that 철수 got married? 결혼했다고요? Or 결혼했다면서요? I heard that 철수 got married, literally while you said 철수 got married, or something like that. Or while I heard 철수 got married. How is this form different? This form can also be used to confirm what someone says. So it's like saying literally, did you say? Quoting form. Did you say? Did you say? Hey, can you repeat yourself? Did you just say something? This form is also used. So let's say your friend says, 내일 철수가 결혼할 거야. Tomorrow, Charsu's getting married. I'm using Charsu getting married as an example, okay? 내일 철수가 결혼할 거야. 내일 철수 결혼한다고. I said Charsu's getting married. Then the person listening might say, 결혼한다고? Did you say Charsu's getting married? 내일 철수가 결혼한다고? Did you say that Charsu's getting married? Confirming what they just said. You cannot say 철수가 결혼한다면서요? That doesn't make sense. You're saying, while you are saying that Charsu's getting married, is that true? This would be like asking, is it true that Charsu's getting married? I heard. Your friend's going to be like, I literally just told you. Like, what do you mean you heard? Like, you heard me talking to you right now? You cannot use this to confirm something that someone just said. This has to be something that you've heard or read on your own, outside of this conversation right here. So if your friend says, Charsu's getting married, you can't then repeat back, Charsu to do Charsu. 결혼한다면서요. Like, I heard Charsu's getting married. Like, that would be weird in English, right? Hey, yeah, Charsu's getting married tomorrow. I heard Charsu's getting married. Like, yeah, I just told you, right? So that's the difference between these. But you could say, 결혼한다고? He's getting married, you say? Like, I'm checking, did you really say that? In which case your friend would be like, yeah, I just said that, but correct, I meant that. I wasn't misspeaking it. I really mean Charsu. Or you say, 철수가 결혼한다고? And your friend's like, oh, did I say 철수? I meant Younghee, like that. So in this case, these are different. So just kind of wanted to make a note that these are not the same thing. However, you could use it the next day in a different conversation. So let's say you hear it from your friend A, and then you go to friend B, and you say, hey, I heard Charsu's getting married. I literally just heard it a second ago from my other friend, but I heard Charsu's getting married. Is that right? And your other friend's like, yeah, I heard it too. That's okay. Or you can go back to friend A the next day. Be like, hey, I heard Charsu's getting married. And your friend's like, 내가 말했잖아. That's what I told you. I said that to you, right? But that's okay. You can use it like that. Of course, you could do that in English too. So day one, your friend tells you, hey, Charsu's getting married. You're like, what? 결혼한다고? Charsu's getting married? You're like, yeah. Then next day you go back to your friend. 철수가 결혼한다면서? Or 결혼한다며, if you want to be casual. And your friend's like, 내가 어제 말했잖아. I told you yesterday. That's okay. I mean, it's awkward. Like, why would you repeat it back to them if they told you? But grammatically, it's not so wrong. And maybe you still don't believe it. You're like, I heard Charsu's getting married. You're like, yeah, I told you. But it's okay. Anyway, just want to do a note of how it's different. All right. That is the end of our lesson, our advanced lesson. Hopefully, it wasn't the hardest lesson that we've done, but hopefully you guys were able to follow along, even if you're not quite ready for this. I hope you still got something out of it. Now that the lesson contents are over, how do you guys feel? How do you feel about this lesson that we did today? Hopefully you guys get that although the form literally means the same thing in both cases, it does have two distinct uses. One as a literal way to say someone did something, saying this, or asking this, or saying let's do this, or commanding, saying do this. Or it could mean someone said this, as in I heard this. Is it true? That sort of meaning. Hopefully you guys felt like you got it. We have 10 minutes or so. Feel free to ask any questions you guys have, and I'll try to do my best to answer. L.A. Anderson says, wait, so what would you say instead of 다면서 in a formal setting? Hold on, I see a comment here. I can show that. This is fine for a formal setting because it still has the you form. Now, when you're talking about really formal, are you talking about like business formal? Well, you might say something different completely to begin with. But yeah, this could be formal if you're using the yo and you're not being sarcastic. You're just fact checking. 다면서요. Yeah, it's fine. Yo can be used in formal situations too. Who's that? Blue Candies. Hey, Blue Candies. Thank you for your 2 Australian dollars. I have some family members in Australia, so when I go there, I can use it. I'm just joking. It gets converted instantly. Thank you. Understood everything. Hopefully you guys got most of this. Can you use the verb before tamyeonseo in the present tense? Well, yeah, it's the plain form. So plain form can be past, present, or future, or progressive. You can use any tense. Negative version of all of those. Didn't do it, had done it, double past. All of those are okay for the plain form. As long as you can make the plain form of it, you can use any tense you'd like. Present formal. Yes, it would be fine. Last time you said something about private lessons. Mel, that is on Super Peer. If you go to superpeer.com/GoBilly Korean, I don't have a link in the description, but that's what it is. Or you can ask someone about it in Discord. I don't have too many slots open though. It's not something I do for like regular tutoring unless you really want that. There are cheaper options if you just want someone to like practice speaking Korean with you. If I were you and you just want someone to practice with, I would just go on italki and get like a $10 an hour tutor and speak Korean with them for an hour straight. I would be more like if you have some specific questions you want to talk with me about, or you really want to know something explained in depth that you've already tried to learn on your own, then that's okay. Oh, hey, JC. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, JC. Also, new member. Amsalnida. Welcome. Hopefully the board didn't break. It keeps flashing. Is it going to stop flashing? Okay, thank you. Thank you, JC. And as well as to our new member. Anselmnida. I think it's Ansel Imnida, right? Maybe I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Thank you and welcome to our new member. Oh, did I get another one? What's it blinking for? Oh, Grandpa Mikey. I saw it blink before it even showed the notification. Grandpa. Thank you, Grandpa. Really appreciate it. Yes, I do 1 dab for every $1 donation. So if you want to kill me, and if you have a competing Korean service and you want to kill me, now is your chance. You can totally eliminate me from the marketplace by killing me with a large donation. But yeah, so far nobody has tried to do that. Grandpa. Like I have money. Brave of you to assume I do. Well, it's understandable. Grandpa Mikey, yes, this was an advanced level lesson today. Where is, I want to know, what did James think? What did James think if he got anything new from this lesson? I know James already knows how to use this form really well. Just joined and he's dabbing. That's really all I do. I just stream to do dabs, and there's lesson content here and there when I feel like it. Do you play piano? Presto Potato asks, do you play piano or any instruments? When I was young, when I was in elementary school and junior high, I played the clarinet. I remember 0. I don't even have my clarinet anymore. I once learned guitar for about 6 months to impress a girl. That was a waste of time. I still have the guitar though. That was fun. And my son got a ukulele. Am I pronouncing that right? For one of his Christmas presents. So obviously he doesn't know how to tune it. He's 5. He doesn't know how to tune it, doesn't know how to play it. So I've been like playing him chords and stuff. So maybe give me a few years and I'll be able to say I can play the ukulele. All I'm trying to do, I was just trying to play the SpongeBob theme that they play during the credits. That's what I want to get. No, so I don't play piano or any instruments. Okay. Lily Hughes. I usually miss streams, but how often do you do advanced level lessons? I'd say once a month, because I'll put 1 or maybe 2 advanced topics for each lesson, voting picks. What does that mean? Each of the times I have the voting, there will be like 1 advanced, and there will be 4 options. So once every 4 weeks or maybe 5 weeks. So about once a month or 4 or 5 weeks. But if more of my members recommend advanced topics, then you can see more. So if you guys want more, I want more beginner topics, I want more advanced topics, well, join. And Zelnida, you can make a suggestion for a new live stream topic if you'd like. I can add it to the list and we'll teach it, as long as I haven't already done it. And if you want a specific topic, join the member program and you can request it. Do you have any tips for passive acquisition if you're not advanced? Blue Candies, what's your Korean level right now? How much Korean can you speak? Because that will change based on what your current level is. You can always benefit from just doing more passive acquisition, but it's not going to teach you Korean. You're never going to learn Korean just by watching dramas, or there would be so many Koreaboos who speak fluent Korean, I guarantee you. But it's always beneficial for practicing by listening to how it sounds. Just getting used to hearing words used over and over again, even if you're not really paying attention. It's still useful, but it's not going to teach you Korean. So I would never devote time out of the day to doing that. I would just have it turn it on in the background while you're doing other stuff all day, every day, that kind of thing. Over time, it'll kind of get you used to sounds a little better, kind of get you used to words a little better, but it's not going to teach you anything. I do that. I have some Korean YouTubers that I like. I keep them open whenever I'm working, like as long as I'm not listening to something. So if I'm not editing, any other work, writing or whatever, answering emails, all of that is done while listening in the background with someone speaking Korean. And I've done hours and hours and hours. I think this year alone, about 3 or 4 hours every day of something like that. And it's helpful. Let's see. It's difficult to find lessons or resources for advanced learning. Typically, yes, that is because if you're an advanced learner, you are the 1%. Majority of learners are this. I'd like to learn Korean. I wonder if it's hard. Oh, Hangul's so easy. I can learn it in an hour. Now I know Hangul. Oh, wait. What are these sound change rules? Okay, I give up. A few of those will keep going. They're like, sound change rules, what are those? Oh, let me try them. Oh, they're kind of annoying. I don't know, I'm kind of bored now. Give up. Some of those, though, will keep going. They're like, okay, so I got those sound change rules. Let's do the grammar. What is this, grammar? I have to learn grammar? This is really hard. I give up. Some of them keep going. Oh, I've learned some basic grammar, but I can't say anything in Korean. It's taking too long. I give up. You know, it goes on like that until you get, it's like a pyramid, and the people who keep going with it will get to the top. But a lot of people simply give up because they think it's too hard. It's not, but they just give up because they get bored of it, or they think they think they can't do it. So they just stop. But people who keep going, they're like, no, I can do this. Keep climbing up. You get a small percentage of people who actually get up to a conversational level. So yeah, if you are advanced, that means you are one of the few people who decided, even after getting through like intermediate grammar, where it starts getting a little bit tricky, you can't just learn things like really simply anymore. You have to learn things on top of other things, like in understanding that grammar form, plus that one in order to understand a third. Then if you keep going with it and get up to advanced, there's going to be fewer and fewer people. Now, there are a lot of people who do reach that level, not because they're smarter, they just keep going. They're just like, yeah, I can do it, and they keep going. And they get there, obviously. Everyone can learn Korean, but there are fewer people who do that. So when they get up there, they're like, hey, there's lots of us here. You look down and there's like billion people below you who are, well, not a billion, millions of people below you who are still beginners that are requesting, hey, Billy, can you do this topic, do this topic, do this topic, right? That's the only problem. So if you want a more advanced lesson, you have to then speak up. You have to say, hey, Billy, teach this topic. That's how you get it, because there's 100 people below you that are yelling out their topics. If you don't talk as well, I'm not going to know that you want that topic either. So yeah, let me know. I'm curious. A lot of people who are advanced already have their own study regimens already too. Like they already know what they're going to be doing. So they don't need my help. I don't blame them. Or they're not learning Korean on YouTube. Maybe they're just living in Korea. They have a class. Maybe they're going to Korean university in Korea, so they're learning Korean there. So they don't really have any contact with me because they don't need my videos. They're already in a full Korean program. So yeah, if you're out there, you're advanced out there. If you're out there and you're advanced and you'd like to learn a specific advanced topic, just say so. That's where I am, in the intermediate puddle. It's called intermediate plateau, but sure, I get what you're saying. Everyone's always saying I can only learn because of natural aptitude, but I always have to say that anyone can learn. Yeah, that was always anyone can learn Korean. And I do know lots and lots and lots of different kinds of people who have learned to speak Korean. So you guys might think it's like really hard. You have to be really smart. You have to be, super diligent. You have to be, one of those traits that you think, oh, I wish I was that kind of person. No, I know people from all walks of life who speak Korean well. There are some really smart people in there, and there are some, for lack of a better word, really dumb people. Like, you don't need to be especially smart or especially talented or especially hardworking. You just have to keep going, and you have to keep doing it. And the most important thing though is that you are trying yourself to learn. You're not just saying, well, hey, I'll learn if I do this. It's easy, passive learning, but you're always actively learning. If you do that, you can totally learn Korean. Now, obviously, some people with really smart people will have a benefit in that they can pick up stuff faster, but everyone can learn it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be, when I say dumb, I don't mean actually dumb. I mean like, regular dumb, regular kind of dumb. I am regular dumb. But like not, you don't have to be like some Einstein, like linguist. In fact, a lot of times that's the opposite. I know several people who are linguists who learn Korean who don't speak Korean very well. And that wasn't their goal to learn to master Korean. They're just interested in like learning about the details and rules of the language and less interested in actually learning how to speak it. And that's fine. So no, it doesn't mean that you have to study things in super in-depth to learn them really well. I do because I'm trying to teach it, but that's a different story. You don't need to learn, when you learn like 가면서, you don't actually need to learn the literal meaning of it. You just need to learn how it's used. Oh, I've heard it used in this situation. That must be how it's used. Yeah, probably. You just need to learn that. You don't have to go break it up and do a grammar lesson if you're able to get out there and practice and get a lot of exposure to it. So yeah, don't misunderstand. You don't have to understand the concepts like I do in order to use them. You just have to hear them a lot, use them a lot on your own, and get used to them, and now you know it. Even if you didn't know those rules, you won't use it wrong yourself. Even if you can't teach it to someone else, you can still know how to use it yourself. Oh, cool. That's interesting. It just showed me a notification. Someone just bought the Keep Calm and Study Korean sweater. I don't know who that was, but I never knew it showed me notifications like that. That's cool. I constantly struggle with actively making my sentences. Conversation is the bane of my existence. Yes, that will get easier if you practice more. Really. I just bought the sweater. Nice, Presto. I was wondering who it was. No problem. Thank you. Yeah, I feel cool. Like, I'm hoping one day I'll be like walking around Korea, sometime next year, I'll be walking around Korea and I'll see someone wearing one of my shirts. I'll be like, I'm going to run up over, ask for a picture if you're doing that. All right. Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to ask questions for another couple minutes because we finished our lesson today. I know it was definitely more of an advanced lesson than we normally have. Bell and Q, regular dumb, adding that. Yeah, I'd say regular dumb is a good description. I am, despite my friends also, not my friends, I said my parents. Parents will love you no matter what you do. My parents being like, oh, you're gifted with learning languages. I'm like, literally, no. I've failed at learning 4 languages and succeeded at learning 1. Like, what was that laugh? I've learned Korean successfully. I tried learning Japanese. I got like intermediate at best. And I did that for 3 years and I still only got to like basic conversation, intermediate level. I did French for 6 years. I can't speak French. I did Cantonese for 3 months and Mandarin for 3 months, and that was actually probably the best success I've ever had was Cantonese. No, Cantonese was like 2 months. That was like the most I've ever learned of any language in a month or two. And yeah, like no, I just keep working at it. I'm not gifted with learning languages either. And same with like teaching Korean. I got good at teaching Korean by trying to teach Korean and learning how things work, looking things up and explaining something, and someone would ask why. Be like, oh. So I'd kind of prepare myself with answers in advance by like looking up, like every time I think of a Korean question, I'll be like, what is the actual reason for that? And I'll look it up on my own free time because like I'm curious. I actually like that stuff. It's what I'm interested in. So that's why I can teach it to you. But before I became a Korean teacher, before I was teaching on YouTube, I already could use these concepts correctly. I just couldn't explain them very well because I never thought about them before. Like I had learned a lot of Korean, some of it from books, some of it from just asking Koreans, and a big majority of it just from being immersed in Korean and using it all the time, hearing other people use it. Like I heard someone use the Youngso Form, like I think it was tame, was like one of the first times I heard it. I'm like, tame? What does that mean? Tame? Is that teme? Teme? Whatever? What is that? And then kind of hearing it used a few times and realizing, oh, that's for like confirming, like, didn't you say? Didn't you say? But I didn't know anything more about it. But that was enough to use it. So yeah, focus on how it's actually used. Don't stress too much about the exact grammar for it, as long as you can use it. Grammar is useful for kind of learning, helping you, how do I use it? But ultimately, you're not going to be thinking of grammar rules when you're speaking. Ever. Grammar rules are just to get your foot in the door. Controlled dumb? I don't know what that is. I have no idea when I'm reading, then I'll look up the word on the green site when it shows the hanja. Oh yeah, the Naver dictionary. Yeah. Mustafa, I feel like Koreans don't really like foreigners. And when I go there, I feel like people won't want to be around me. That's not true. No. There are some Koreans that don't like foreigners. There are some Koreans who absolutely love foreigners. It's nothing like that. No. If you're a nice person, people will like you, no matter where you go in the world. So no, you'll be fine. If you speak Korean, if you're trying to speak Korean, they'll love you. Okay. Let's see. Do you have a recommended order in which to watch the previous live stream? There is no order, Daniel. Execute order. No, there is no order for any of the live streams because they're all based on requests. If you want something in order, you could watch my beginner Korean course, which is free. I think we're up to lesson 74. And then you can watch an accompanied live stream along with that topic. But there isn't an order for the live streams because they were never made to be in order in the first place. I think the very first one was like verb endings. And that wouldn't be something that a beginner would be learning yet. 뭐가 말하면서 방법을 사용해야 안 된다면. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. 아야카타? The green site. Yeah, I like that. I might use that now. The green site. It's not easy being the green site. I have a question, Billy, by the person with the Chinese name. Something, cool? I don't know. Is the sentence okay or right? 매운 음식을 먹을 수 있다고 자랑한다면서 우유를 꿀꺽꿀꺽 마셨어요. He was drinking, like gulping down milk while bragging that he can eat spicy food, or she. Yeah, it makes sense. 꿀꺽꿀꺽. So he or she was guzzling down milk while bragging that they can eat spicy food. I mean, I don't know why they would brag about eating spicy food while they're drinking tons of milk, but okay, like, yeah, I can eat such spicy food, like, yeah, like, my friends, they're wusses. They can't even handle Taco Bell sauce, but I can eat tons of spicy food. Yeah, sure, that could work. Let's see. When I try to conjugate verbs on the fly, I mess up a lot. I'm better at conjugating when I write. Well, that's the problem, Chan Yam, because you're trying to conjugate verbs on something as small as a fly, and it's probably going to be moving away from you. You should try paper. I am better at conjugating when I write. Yeah, so that makes sense. You'd be much better when you're just writing on paper. That's what I would say. Hey, Billy, I'm learning. Is that Russian? I can't read. What is that? I am learning Korean from you and I consider moving to Korea, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a job there. Are you a native native English speaker? In which case you will become an English teacher. There is no other job if you're a native English speaker. Unless you have a Korean wife or Korean husband and you legally have a work visa, there is no other job you can do. You possibly could, if you live in Korea already and you're married to a Korean, or you have Korean citizenship and you've lived there already, or it doesn't have to be citizenship, but permission to live there, permanent, like a work visa, then you can work at probably a startup. There are lots of startups that want to hire native English speakers to help them deal with foreign clients. Otherwise, you can be an English teacher. There's really no other option, because why would they want to hire you, who they have to pay more, sponsor the visa, worry about leaving the country suddenly, have to pay for your apartment, deal with you in English, when they could hire a Korean who can do the same job, work longer hours, and they can pay less. You're not going to get a job except an English teacher. Unless you're really ugly. I said really lucky. I was trying to say really lucky. It came out ugly. If you're really ugly, maybe you get a job. Maybe they'll like display you in like the circus or something. Like, no, that totally came out wrong. I've seen other foreigners get other jobs. No, that would be if they are already living in Korea. So like if they go to school in Korea and they graduate from a Korean school and they have permission to live in Korea, and then they apply for a permanent resident visa to stay in Korea, then they can get other jobs. Often though, what happens is while someone is teaching English, they illegally accept a part-time job, like working at a convenience store or working at a restaurant. It's pretty common. It's illegal though. If you get caught, you get deported. So you have to be careful about that. Okay. My goal is to study quantum physics in Korea if possible, so I need all the help possible. Do you know anything about university application from abroad? I do not. I never applied for a Korean university before. That would be fun someday. Someday. Like, I'd love to do that. That would be fun someday if I could, but I've never done it before. Let's see. Hi, Billy. I am from Jamaica. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Okay, I think that is enough for today. I don't want to go too long. Thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully you got something out of today's lesson. Special thank you again to our awesome supporters. Token GLX, Evolving Brain, Rachel, Mr. Blue, I'll call you Mr. Blue, JC, Ann Salimnida, and Grandpa, as well as Ikara Owane, who just donated. I don't know what you said yet. Thank you, Ikara. I was just closing the lesson. 4, 5. Thanks for this new lesson today. Could you wish a Merry Christmas to my former Korean teacher, Madam Song? Merry Christmas. Christmas is over, though. Keep in mind, Korea's, depending on where you are in the world, Korea's probably one day ahead. So Christmas in Korea was like 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, I think. What day is today? Sunday? Saturday, yeah, 3 days ago in Korea. But Merry Christmas is just Merry Christmas. Now, there are other ways you could say. You could say 즐거운 크리스마스를 보내세요. Like, hope you have a enjoyable Christmas, but really, you just say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas in Korea. It's really easy. So, thank you everyone for coming. This was the last time we will have a live stream in 2020. Next time I see you will be 2 weeks from today. Remember, there is no live stream this coming Sunday, but after next Sunday, we will get a whole new set of voting options. So, if you are a YouTube member, make sure to get in your recommendations, your requests for lessons, and we might just get it for the next live stream. Thank you all for coming, and I'll see you again next time, 2 weeks from now. 그럼 다음에 또 봐. Someone else say anything? Okay, see you guys.